day to one and all present here. It's my pleasure to welcome you all for today's workshop on Retail Knowledge Series 14, New Rules of Changing Retail Industry. Love begins our home by praying together. Let us start our workshop with our college prayer followed by Tamil Thalvarthu. Thank you. Now, Ms. Hema Malini will present the welcome address. Hema Malini.
My hearty welcome to beloved Secretary, Sri Abhaya Sri Srimad Jain Sir, our Associate Secretary, Sri R. Ashakumar Mehta Sir, our Principal Dr. S. Padmavati Ma'am, our Vice Principal Dr. S. Rukmani Ma'am, our Executive Director Mr. Balakrishnan Sir, and the Speaker of the Day Mr. Vidhu Maheshwari Sir, and the Keynote Speaker of the Day Mr. Soran Nachia Rajashekhar Sir. Our keynote speaker, Mr. Soran Nachia Rajashekhar Sir, have been an active member in Chennai Costume House Agency Association, member in Board of Studies in Corporate Secretaryship, University of Madras, and also a member in Indo-American Association and etc. He also received Anbupalam Award and Lifetime Achievement Award from Loyola College and etc. I'm glad to introduce our speaker of the day, Mr. Vidhu Maheshwari Sir. He has completed his schooling from Chinmaya Vidyalaya and graduated in Bachelor's in Business Management from King's College London in 2015. He has always been a child lover and bearing interest in F&B space promoted him to took up this chai space for his first business venture. Having a conceptualized concept in 2017, Chaiwale's first outlet was commenced in 2018 and since then he has been growing from strength to strength. Chaiwale has raised funds to tune rupees 7.5 crores till the date, with the latest round including Lady Superstar Nayanthara among other Maricure investors. Once again, I welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Hema Malini. In the workshop, our keynote speaker, Mr. Soran Nachia Rajashekhar Sir, அவர்களுக்கு வணக்கம். Sir, இந்த workshop பத்தின உங்களோட கருத்துக்களையும் நாங்க பகிர்ந்துக்கணும் அப்படின்னு விரும்புறோம் sir. Few words, please, sir.
Good evening to everybody. I'm happy to seminar New Rules of Changing Retail Industry today evening. The SS Education Society, which is founded in the year 1937. The society has been responsible for successfully establishing several educational institutions like Jain Industrial Training Institute, A.M. Jain College, and so many higher secondary schools, A.M. Jain schools and others. Sri Shankarlal Sundarbhai Asan Jain College for Women, which is established in the year 2005. affiliated to Madras University, a Center for Academic Excellence and Achievement for Science, Humanities, and Commerce, affiliated to Madras University, providing ample opportunity for the development of leadership and self-assurance. The motto emphasizes the need to run an extra mile to achieve one's goals. People have to always walk extra mile to achieve their goals always, which is relevant today and relevant to your topic also of new rules of changing retail industry. The values are attributed to Sattva, Karuna, Shanti, Parishram, and Laya, which is also a wonderful idea and thought by the founders and their followers and present administrators. Thanks to the principal and the secretary of the trust and HOD and other faculty and students for organizing this seminar. Now coming to the chief guest, my dear young man, Mr. Vidur Mageshwari, CEO of Chaiwala. There's an interesting anecdote about this tea, about Malayalis also. ஒருத்தர் ரொம்ப கஷ்டப்பட்டு எட்மண்ட் ஹில்லாரி எல்லாம் மலையேறி எவரெஸ்ட் சிகரத்தை தொட்ட பிறகு நாம தான் இந்த ஃபர்ஸ்ட் கான்குவர்ட் எவரெஸ்ட் அப்படின்னு ஒரு மகிழ்ச்சியில இருக்கும்போது எந்த சாய் வேணுமான்னு அங்க ஒரு மலையாளி குரல் கேட்டிருக்கு. திரும்பி பார்த்தா அங்க ஒரு மலையாளி டீ வித்துட்டு இருந்திருக்காரு. இங்க இந்த மாதிரி ஆள் எப்படியாச்சும் வருவாங்கன்னு தெரிஞ்சா நான் முன்னாலே டீ கடை போட்டேன் இங்க அப்படின்னு. அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு நகைச்சுவையான ஒரு கதை உண்டு இந்த டீ கடைகளை பற்றி, மலையாளிகளை பற்றி. Our chief guest, Vidur Mageshwari, is a King's College student. He describes how his father used to drink 15 cups of chai per day, sowing the seed of Vidur thriving business venture Chaiwala. One of the USP of Chaiwala is the sale of kakras, 9 flavors, and he understands the preparing of coffee is different from the preparation of tea. An interesting one is Chairman's Special, a strong flavor of lemon, honey, ginger, and chaat masala that may remind you of tangy candy. The tea leaves are brought from Assam directly from the manufacturers. He is following the low margin with a high turnover, able to produce reasonably a good profit. I used to say that the government should also follow the same principles of high turnover with low margin regarding the taxation rules like income tax, direct tax, and indirect tax like GST. They should ensure brings more people to the net, but they should reduce the tax rates. Chaiwala is one of the city homegrown and fastest growing beverage brand founded in the year 2018. The quick service restaurant QSR, Chaiwala grew exponentially by way of competitive pricing, focusing on customer delight and opening outlets at strategic locations across the cities. He took inspiration from the saying, tea is a beverage, while chai is emotion. For Chaiwala, the ratio of offline to online sales has been picked at the rate 60% to 40%. Chaiwala aims to have 40 to 45 fully operational outlets. I wish him he should extend beyond that limit and crossing 100 soon on behalf of the Tamil Chamber of Commerce and student of Shasan. The largest picture in mind, of course, is to go pan-India, followed by global footprint. The current set of angel investors in Chaiwala includes ED of Dhariwal Group, managing partner of South Handlooms, Chennai, based HNIs Arun and Vishal, management of DK Group of companies, Gunavati Vadi of 4G, and recently the film actress Nayanthara also invested in Chaiwala. I think our chief guest will explain that. The COVID-19 pandemic will be a good judge of the business. He wants that our conviction to overcome this tough period will gain the trust of investors, according to Vidur, which I like and confirm consent to this also. The retailing has changed dramatically when coming to this topic today. Customer is the king, which Mahatma Gandhi always told. Retailing has changed dramatically. Producers and marketers no longer control what, how, and if customers buy. Modern day consumers now tell you what they want to buy, how they want to buy, and whether they will let you sell it to them. The retail industry consultant Robin Lewis and Michael Dutt combine experience and original research in the pragmatic, useful analysis of how the industry has evolved since the rise of the internet. They offer a clear, logically progressive discussion with instructive observation about stores, brands, and the 3 new rules of retail. Although their explanation is long on theory and examples, it is short on specific how to do that. Nonetheless, the abstract recommends this eye-opening book, an eye-catching tool with its great charts and diagrams to manufacturers, marketers, and retailers, consumers too, will relish its fascinating insights into their sites. I suggest students to go through this book in online at least. The new rules of retail industry explained how unprecedented consumer power enabled by technology, globalization is revolutionizing retail. They want that survival in these dynamic times called for a business model based on 3 distinct competencies: preemptive, perpetual distribution, a neurological customer connection, and total control of value chain. In the years since the book published, many of their predictions have come true. Now they revisit timeless case studies like Ralph Lauren and Sears, as well as new additions like Trader Joe's, Lululemon, and Warby Parker to assess how retailers must continue to evolve the era of e-commerce, data mining, and the tiered distribution. They also identified 5 current trends that are currently driving consumer demand, including technology, integration, and channel consolidations. As exemplified Jeff Bezos at Amazon, this is fully revised and updated guide from 2 proven retail prognosticators. You can go through this for your enlightening your knowledge about the retail changes, new rules, and other things. The challenge faced by brick and mortar retailers have accelerated at staggering speed in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic economic crisis. Retailers need to stop expecting business to return to normal. There is no going back to how it was anytime soon. Even before the COVID-19 pandemic and economic crisis, brick and mortar retailers had been fighting a fierce battle against Amazon and other commerce players. Those challenges have now accelerated at staggering speed. The latest data from McKinsey shows that consumers are likely to keep the behaviors they have adopted. Amid stay-at-home orders, such as more online shopping and fewer mall visits, retailers can't afford to be in the wait-and-see mode. They need to reimagine their baseline requirements and then turn their attention to taking the customer experience in their next level. To start, retailers have to adapt their brick and mortar operations to comply with the health and safety regulations and meet basic customer expectation. These include mask wearing, ensuring physical distancing, and controlling the number of employees and customers in stores. Instituting contactless transactions, improving speed and services, and introducing more self-service options. Retailers also need to offer simple and seamless e-commerce experience, from browsing to researching, selecting, purchasing, and returning, exchanging, etc. Customer will no longer tolerate subpar digital shopping experience like they may have before the crisis. Retailers have to make sure their sites are mobile responsive, offer integrated services such as buy online, pick up in stores, and deliver consistent, reliable digital experience across devices and channels. To get started, retailers can consider how premium movie theater brands such as Cinefolias emerged back when Netflix and other home movie This new experience did not simply improve what had been previously offered to customers and address the shortcomings of existing options. They made visiting theater better than watching at home, offering luxury reclining lounges, specialty food and beverages delivered seat aside, and lobby areas with bars to hang out with friends before and after the movies. Retailers that offers an exclusive, superior experience like luxury cinemas once did can draw people out of their homes. Investing in some of the unique capabilities of digital, including real-time inventory management, predictive analytics, artificial intelligence powered search, and personalization of co-creation functions can create completely new and different shopping experience. When COVID-19 forced churches to shut down their weekly services, most simply transferred the churches services online using digital conferencing solution like Zoom. But Cincinnati-based Crossroads Church seized the opportunity to reimagine its pastors' weekly ceremonies. Now they film pastors delivering messages at different locations to help reinforce that week's messages. For example, talking about the importance of strong foundation at the site of historic search. Similarly, retailers can take advantage of the greater flexibility and the new context that digital offers by, for example, depicting a single clothing item on multiple models to show what it looks like on different body shapes and size, or using videos to demonstrate how real customers actually use a tool. They can also take inspiration from how digital enables immediate and interactivity for online education platforms such as edX and Coursera. Students studying software programming can upload their coding projects and get them automatically graded, so they receive instant feedback. So the technology take front and the human touch, and the brick and mortar has to fight with the technology or adapt the technology to make their business, retail and other counter sales to increase. So in future, change is inevitable always. மாற்றம் ஒன்று மாறாதது என்பார்கள். அந்த அடிப்படையில் இன்றைக்கு தொழில்நுட்பம் பொதுவாக disruption caused the issues in business and trade industry. But now the pandemic issues is a different type of, after a century, come back with the most impacting internationally, and the retailers has to adapt more technology and more intelligent ways to deal the customers, to bring back them to the stores. And at the same time, as nowadays the meetings are changed as hybrid nature, both the Zoom, the meeting can be viewed, and the physical persons also in person also conducted nowadays. Like that, both this brick and mortar retail and the online should coexist and complementary to each other rather than competitive to each other. I once again thanks for all the students participating in this seminar and the retail association who involved in this, the Shasan correspondent and Shasan group of foundation and principal and other faculty members to give the opportunity to share my thoughts and views. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. நீங்க பேசின ஒவ்வொரு வார்த்தையுமே பார்ட்டிசிபென்ட்ஸ்க்கு யூஸ்ஃபுல்லா இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிறேன் சார். Now our speaker of the day, Mr. Vitul Maheshwari sir, will take over the session. Welcome, sir.
Hi, thank you, Bhumika, and thank you, Aruna ma'am, thank you everyone, thank you, Abhay uncle, thank you everyone to the faculty of Shasan Group for giving me this opportunity. And I think it's an honor to be present as the chief speaker. However, I think one thing I would like to state is that since most participants, on this link are college students, and I would imagine them not to be a generation ahead of them. I would say that we are of the same generation. So what I'm going to do here is I will be sharing my experience of Chai Wale, and I mean, because I think, over the last 3 years, 2018 is when we started Chai Wale, and over the last 3 years, it's been a great learning curve. And I think it's a long way to go. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to depict my journey, and of course, also list out the difficulties or the challenges that were faced. And of course, post that we would also have a Q&A as well. So just to begin, we sort of I conceptualized the idea of Chai Wale way back in 2017. So growing up as a student in school, college, I always fancied the food and beverage industry. It is something that always caught my attention. I'm a big foodie myself. But growing up, I was predominantly more focused towards the fine dines. I think as I grew up, I understood that it does involve a lot of it's a bit of high risk and high return as well. And post completion of my graduation, so I'm a graduate from King's College London, having majored in business management. So I am not a chef myself. So when I wanted to get into the food and beverage business, there were a couple of I would say criterias that led me to it. One is, of course, my passion for food. And second, and also sort of a deciding factor, is something that I wanted to get into a business which was more of a cash and carry business rather than a credit dominant business. Because in today's time, getting into the credit business, of course, the large establishments are definitely doing well, but I think it does take a toll, and it does require a lot of your resources to be deployed towards realization of the profits which is on your credits. So that is something that pushed me towards looking at food and beverage industry. So while we were looking at the food and beverage industry, so fine dining, of course, was an option. Full-fledged cafes is another option, and the third category is something that what we at Chai Wale are doing. So fine dine was not an option for me because I am not a chef myself, and I could not be banking, investing in the kind of money that we do at Chai Wale. I could not be investing that in one single outlet and be dependent on a head chef, because, like I said, I'm not a chef myself. Today I hire in a chef, and I am banking. I am risking my complete business on one individual person. So as long as I'm able to replace him with the taste and quality, it's fine. But if I don't do that, it's all sunk cost for me. So that was one thing. What majorly led me to looking at tea and coffee as a mass market is the conservatism, or the price consciousness of India as a market. Tamil Nadu in particular, I would say, is a lot cost conscious. Of course, we are growing, but as a generic market, it's still a very price conscious market, and that is what led me to think about coffee as a segment. This was probably sometime around mid 2017 while we were looking at coffee as a segment, and that's when it hit me. It was something that was said during the introduction, that my father, he's an ardent chai lover, and he would actually have 15 cups of tea, but that he would have that only at his residence or at the office. One day while we were out dining out, he ordered for a filter coffee, and I asked him, "Dad, you like your chai, but why do you always end up having a filter coffee when you go out?" So his response was that the tea that you get at most restaurants outside isn't of the same quality that is being prepared at home. And that is when it hit me that filter coffee is made by mixing your decoction with the milk, and that's what most restaurants do for chai as well. But chai is not supposed to be made that way. There is a certain temperature at which it needs to be boiled. There's a certain temperature or certain mixture in which the ingredients have to be mixed. So that's when it completely turned me around towards tea. Because if someone like my dad who loves tea is ending up having a filter coffee, just because you end up getting a better filter coffee than a chai at restaurants, there might be lakhs of people like him. And we did our surveys, we did our studies, and it came to light that yes, of course, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, known as the land of filter coffee, but still there are 16 cups of chai sold for every 1 cup of filter coffee. So what happens here is that those 16 cups, predominantly 80% of the chai sales happen through your the roadside local tea shops who do not end up having a count or a data or a statistics of their sales. So that is they don't have it documented. It is more of a day business that they do, and that is where most people don't realize. So most restaurants end up selling more filter coffee because they make it brilliantly. You look at any of the big chains based down here, they are brilliant with their filter coffee. But when you look at tea, in terms of a good tasting tea, you would probably choose a roadside vendor over a chain. But of course, that has its own downsides as well when it comes to health and hygiene. And that is when Chai Wale was sort of conceptualized, where we wanted to provide a pocket-friendly chai experience, but at the same time at a hygienic and a sort of a great ambience to provide with. So our USP at Chai Wale is affordable luxury, where we provide you the best possible chai that a ₹20 could buy, with the best ambience that you could get for it. And that's how the whole idea started off. So before starting my first outlet, which was in June 2018, I think I put in a research of about a good solid 6 to 8 months. So coming from a finance background, coming from a business management background, what I was looking at is trying to get the best of vendors, get the best of suppliers, get the best of everything before I start my first outlet. But I think in a span of time, I realized that this is a completely new market for me. I do not have sort of a credibility in this particular market. And all the pricing, all the vendors that I would speak to, I would more often than not get a quote which is higher than what my existing peers in the market would probably be purchasing those products at. And that's when I realized I needed to get into the field. And once I do that, I think we'll get a hand on the pricing as well. So 2018 June is when we started our first outlet, and it was a pretty interesting pick of location that we had picked up. Our first outlet was operational at Sokapet. It's an area called Min Street, which is at Georgetown, Sokapet, Georgetown. So the idea behind this, so the location was definitely a two-edged sword, because prior to someone like a Chai Wale coming in over there, the residents and the business owners around the area were quite happy with an 8 rupee or a 10 rupee or a 12 rupee tea. And here we are coming up with a 20 rupee price tea. So it's a 100% jump. Yes, it's just a 10 rupee jump. But if you look at, the pocket of a common man, it's a 100% jump from 10 to 20. So that's a 300 rupee that you would spend on a monthly basis to a 600 rupees that you would end up spending on a monthly basis. But having said that, Georgetown also values quality. So that is the two-edged sword that we were looking at. And interestingly, while the outlet was being constructed, it's one of the best outlets that you could probably find in the area. So while the outlets was getting constructed, there was a lot of floating crowd that popped in, just to see what's happening, what's coming up. And word started spreading that, the tea here is going to be priced at 50, 70, 80, 100, just surely because of the sort of interiors that were coming up at that point of time. The menu board was not up. And me being at that point of time completely zero on the marketing view, I had no idea how do I put it across that it's for you. It is not something which is superior to you. You do not have to feel inferior to walking into my outlet. It's something that you've been experiencing already. So what we did is, for the first couple of days, we just floated. I personally had about 100 contacts of individuals who reside or work at Georgetown. So we sent in a message saying that, listen, come on in, it's just a tasting session that we are live with for the next 2 days. Please come on in and give us your feedback, try it and give us your feedback on it. And that did wonders for us because, we had a lot of opposition that, technically it was sort of free that we were serving, but we were very averse to using the word free. So we always termed it as complimentary and tasting session that, just come in, try our product, give us your feedback. So what happened over here is that people would come in, try our product, have a look at the menu board, understand that it's priced at 20 rupees, something that they have been used to, something which is pretty much, very much in their pocket range. And the words, I think, spread like wildfire. So I think the sort of response that we got in was brilliant. On our first 2 days, I think we got in about 3,000 footfalls. We calculated that using the opening and closing of the paper cups. So around 3,000 footfalls, and it went quite well that we had to extend it for 7 days. I remember we started it on 27th May 2018 and extended it up to 3rd June 2018. So it went brilliantly. Yes, I understand that, say 80 or 90% of the footfalls were just because it's complimentary, and we might not be able to retain that once we start commercial sales. But just think about it this way: 3,000 footfalls a day, 10%, that's 300 walk-ins on a commercial sale basis. I mean, I'm breaking even, I'm making money from the first day, and that is something which is sort of unheard of in the F&B industry. So the reason why we went ahead and did the complimentary is that I am someone who believes in getting in the footfalls into a retail brick and mortar outlet within the first 3 months. Get in as much as footfalls that you can. Word of mouth will do its work if your quality stands good. Of course, I'm talking in from the food and beverage viewpoint. I think industry to industry, things might differ. The core might remain the same, but the tactics to go ahead might differ. So I'm someone, when it comes to a food and business, get in your footfalls as soon as you can, and then you will have that many footfalls, that many customers who will probably be doing the marketing for you with the word of mouth marketing going in. So what we did is we got in those customers, and I think maybe in those 7 days we must have spent about 1.5 lakhs or a couple of lakhs invested. I won't say spent, we invested that money. But that is the kind of money that I would have had to invest any which way if I would have waited for the walk-ins to come in. I still got to pay my rentals, I still got to pay my electricity bills, I still need to pay the staff for their work regardless of the revenue that we do. So what happens here is that the staff is all pumped up that they are looking at the crowd coming in from day one. I think it just works out better. It's just better for the whole morale of the staff as well. So that is something that we believe in. Post that, I took my time. My second outlet we opened up within a span of 6 months. Post the first outlet, I wanted to understand what we were doing right, what we were doing wrong. How can we change that, make it right? What we were doing right already, how can we improve it further? So I took my time there, and the second outlet we opened up on 26th December 2018. That remains our flagship outlet at Anna Nagar, 2nd Avenue. And I think with that outlet, we started a concept of giving in a 50% discount for the first couple of weeks and a 25% discount post that. Is again, just going by our mantra of getting in the footfalls as soon as possible. There is also psychological play that I believe that we bank upon, is that when you have a lot of customers in your outlet, it might be probably because of the discount. But as a prospective customer, when you're passing by my outlet, you will always, look at the crowd. So you would think to yourself that, okay, this outlet is always, filled with people. It's always crowded. That must be something great over here. So I think that psychology is also something that we look to tap into. So that does the trick more often than not for us. So we do a 50% discount for the first couple of weeks, and then a 25% discount. Again, just a psychology that going in from a 10 to 20 rupee jump again sort of pinches the human mind. So we gradually move it up from 10 rupees to 15 and 15 to 20. So that's how we do it. And we've actually got one of the best, I think, operational profitability turnaround ratio. We generally turn profitable within the first 2.5 to 3 months operationally. So that is something that I would say Chai Wale prouds upon. And I think post that second outlet, we had 2 more outlets that came up in 2019 March, and we have our first set of investors coming in 2019. We had a further investment of about 1.25 CR last year, and yes, recently we've raised an amount of 5 crores. So at this moment we are at about 17 outlets. We have 5 more coming up in the next couple of months. And of course, I am someone who's all in for an aggressive expansion. But I think in the retail industry, you also need to be mindful of the locations that you expand in, because you need to go in with the fact that you open up 10 outlets and 20%, which is 2 out of those 10 outlets, might not work out to your expectation. So you need to be careful about it, because those 2 outlets, the investment that you make in there can probably eat off your profits from your other 8 outlets, equivalent to a year. So that is something that, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, I'm quite mindful upon. Yes, we are definitely aggressive, but yes, we want to be mindful as well, especially during the COVID period as well. Sorry, I think there's just a question that popped up. PE about PE and VC. Yeah, I think just give me a couple of minutes. I'll wrap this up and we'll get to that. I think I've taken up about 10-15 minutes. I think we'll go to the Q&A. I think that would make a better sense, so that I've given you a background of my journey. So yeah, we open up that. We are at 17 outlets. We are opening up 5 more, and yeah, hopefully we should reach our target of 55 outlets by financial year 23. So just getting to answer Venkataraman's question, can we explain about PE and VC? Right. So at this moment, we have angel investors who have invested in Chaiwale. We haven't really gotten a venture fund or a private equity fund in Chaiwale at this moment. All are angel investors. And I think, the outlook of every stage of an investor varies. I think angel investors, more generically, I would believe, are quite focused. Yes, they do support the business, but I think they're also quite focused on getting in a good sort of appreciation on their own capital as well. So ideally, they look at an aggressive growth of your revenues. So I think that is something that works well. But I think the core still remains the same, that your business needs to be a profitable model and not just a cash burn model. I think the unit economics should add up. You shouldn't be burning money to make sure that you get revenues from your business, and I think that still remains the core. Of course, in the beginning, you will obviously end up having corporate costs. We do have a team ourselves, at the back office, and those will get sort of covered at an economies of scale once we reach about, say, 20-25 outlets. But at the core, for someone like us in our business, what a VC or an investor would see is Chaiwale as an outlet level profitable? Is every single outlet of Chaiwale, individually profitable? So that is something that a VC or a PE would see. Also, if you could just follow up on that question in detail, I could probably.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you, sir. Before we go ahead with the next question, sorry, since we have maximum participants as students,
right,
they would like to know more about PE and VC, but
right,
need some understanding that PE is private equity, how to go about it, and
right,
venture capital, how to secure venture capital. If you have any idea on that, because they're all beginners, they're totally
right,
new to this. So
right.
If you have any idea, if you can share your idea on that.
Right. Perfect. Absolutely. So, of course, as ma'am said, PE is private equity and VC is venture capital. So I'd probably tell you the stages at which these investors come into the play. So, of course, the first is the idea stage, where you have a solid idea, but you need a backing from an investor to actually go onto the field and turn your idea into a sort of a business model. So I think that is something which ideally people would look at is a seed stage investment, where an investor or a number of investors are investing in your idea. So that is one. So I had my seed angel invested from my dad. So we came up to about 4-5 outlets, and that's when we approached angel investors. So angel investors are investors who early stage investors, probably they invest in your company at a very early stage, after the ideation stage probably. But when you have a proof of concept demonstrated, you have a working revenue model, you have a business setup, you have a proof of concept that yes, this is my idea and this works. Now I need money to actually scale up the business. So you probably go in with that. And talking about getting in touch with angel investors, I think you need to do a lot of networking in today's time, for that to happen. Of course, there are private, investment bankers in the picture. You can approach them through that. LinkedIn, of course, in today's time is a brilliant option to get in touch with individuals. And having said that, I think there is no overnight success. When I say success, is you don't crack a VC investment or an angel investor investment overnight. you might probably have to do in 100 pitches before you actually find the right investor. And at the same end, I think as an entrepreneur, the choice that you need to make is, of course, VCs look out for businesses as well, but as an entrepreneur, you would also need to look out that, the investor who's willing to invest, or, the investor that you're targeting, would he be the right fit for your business? Because it depends, either you're looking just for money, or you're also looking for expertise from the investor, expertise in terms of operations or in the market that they operate in. I think that is something, that you would have to look into. So that is the, I think, angel investment round. And then comes VC when you have, scaled it to a decent level. That's when you start, probably talks with a venture capital. And what venture capitalists generally do is they come in and they would ideally want a fairly decent stake in your business. And they would also want to have operational interest, help you grow better. Because as an entrepreneur, I think, everyone has their capabilities, and at the same end, you also have your limitations. So it's always good to get in, strategic partners, angel investors, or venture capitalists who could strategically help your business and not just put in the money. So I think that, that would play a big part. And PE is generally comes at I would say at a much later stage, when your business has crossed all the burning. It's become a self-sustaining business model. It's generating its own revenues. You're to an extent where you're able to pay off dividends to your investors as well. I think that's when where PEs generally look at taking up businesses. I would imagine PEs generally look at taking up already businesses with a positive cash flow. VCs, don't mind investing into your business as long as they see a great potential, even if your cash flow is negative, which is you're doing a cash loss. But PEs more often than not end up investing in businesses which already has a great positive cash flow.
Thank you very much, sir, for that explanation on private equity and venture capital. But it took you more than a year's time for you to open your another branch.
Right.
In December 2018, as you said.
Right.
One thing is, it took time for you to for the payback period, and then for you to gain more customers, increase your footfalls. That could be one reason. But apart from that, what are the other challenges that you faced before increasing your second branch, opening your second branch? And what gave you the confidence of opening the branch in December 2018?
Right. So we opened up our second outlet after 6 months of opening our first outlet. So, of course, the reason why it took me about 6 months is because I wanted to understand and, get in a lot of things streamlined before we actually operated, because it's a lot easier to get things into place, the processes that you want to develop, the sort of systems that you want to set up in your company or your organization. It's much easier to do it when you are a smaller concern than to make radical changes when you are sort of mid-sized or large-sized. So that is something that I wanted to do. And talking about the payback period, no, I did not, recover my investment from the first outlet before I started my second outlet, because as a business, I was always sure that, if once I get into, something like a chai wale, it had to be at a scale. I was not, it was never into my plans to, be content with just 1 or 2 outlets. The idea was to make sure that a value brand is created and not just a single utility outlet. So I think for the first 4 outlets, I was fortunate enough to get funded by my father, and of course, all the revenues generated as well goes back into the business.
Thank you very much, sir. So we have questions from the participants also.
Right.
Dear participants, if you would like to put in your questions to him, you can raise your hand so that we can unmute your audio and you'll be able to ask your question. or you can type it in the chat box as well. A technical team, if you could please unmute their video, they'll be able to ask their question.
Good day, sir. Happy to see you, sir.
Hello.
Good day, sir.
Hi. Good day.
Since chai selling is done mostly by uneducated retailers, what are the advantages being educated doing this?
Right. Okay. So I think I would just like to rephrase while I answer that. I think it doesn't come about educated or uneducated. I think education is very important, no doubt. But I would rather classify that as organized and unorganized. I think that would be a better, explanation of putting it. So what happens, of course, is when it is at the unorganized sector, when you're looking at individual store owners, doing things more often than not. I don't say 100% because obviously it's not a generic, sort of thing that goes around. But more often than not, you will always, find hygiene being an issue. And, there is, of course, I think, they are quite happy with the sort of business that they do from that one particular outlet, or, the sort of cluster that they have built for themselves. And it still remains unorganized because I'm pretty sure, business organizations or, business clusters like those will not be sort of enrolled with GST, would not have a professional setup. And talking in terms of an organized market, I would say the core difference today remains is the front runner would remain the sort of health and hygiene concept that the organized players are bringing into, and it's a lot of automation that comes into the picture. We as a company look at reducing human manpower as much as possible. Trying to get in accountability, trying to get in standardization across all our outlets, because it's not just me who goes into every single outlet and prepares. Probably it's me at one outlet, but it's someone else at the other. I still need to make sure that the consistency remains the same for a person to actually perceive Chaiwale as a brand. So I think that's a basic difference when you look at it from an unorganized sector to an organized sector. But yes, I think I believe that in the long run as well, even the unorganized sector will continue having their own market share. But I think the market share from the unorganized to organized sector is changing quite fast. I think the organized sector in the tea cafe industry is picking up pace quite fast.
Thank you, sir. And one more question, sir. Are you looking for a franchise model?
Right. So franchisee model is something that we are definitely, as a company, we are pondering about. At this moment, we do not have a regular FOFO, that which is a franchisee owned, franchisee operated franchisee model. Simple reason being that in the long run, I want to make sure that the quality and the taste that we serve at Chaiwale remains the same. Because as a brand, we are still, I would say, finding our feet across the market. We are not a Subway. Subway as a brand, every single individual knows that every single Subway is a franchisee outlet. So unfortunately, you don't end up getting a good service at one outlet. You, as a customer, will not think that, Subway as a brand has, probably reduced its standards. You would probably think that, okay, this franchisee isn't maintaining it. You'll go ahead to the next one. So that is something that we want to achieve, where we can look at, where we can confidently say that every single franchisee outlet will have the same quality and the consistency. I think that's when we'll go big with franchising.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening.
So just wanted to ask, what were the challenges or the ups and downs you faced during the during the pandemic?
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting question, and of course, there is no two ways about it. I think it was definitely a troublesome time, especially the first COVID. Times like I think April, May 2020 were unprecedented, at least in my lifetime. I'm a 94 born child, so at least in my lifetime, things were unprecedented. So it was difficult. I think definitely we had a cash loss. We had to. I think it took me at least a good 10-12 days to actually comprehend what's actually happening around. individually. Of course, my team was working on their front as well. But yes, having said that, I think we found our feet pretty quick post that. So we figured that, because the government had allowed operations of online deliveries, which is Swiggy, Zomato, and own deliveries. So we had to obviously make a call. We did lose out on the transition period, but luckily for someone like us, we are already invested with online delivery channels, so it wasn't really a big challenge for us. But I think what happens is that our complete business economics was built around a ratio where a majority of our ratio comes in from walk-ins. With online, what happens is I think as a standard today's time, you got to give in a discount to the customer. You got to pay up the Swiggy and Zomato commissions. So your unit economics sort of takes a beating. But we were quick to rework on that. I think change our prices accordingly. Make sure that even if we operate only on an online model, we are profitable. So I think by about June end, July beginning, we were successfully in doing that. So I think the major operational difficulty I would say is because ours is a labor intensive industry. So I think retaining the staff is something that was quite a bit of challenge as well. Because what happens is you can't really keep them all. Because you got to take care of their expenses. But having said that, you also need employees when you restart your walk-in businesses. I think that was one of the biggest challenges that we faced, and I think some of the standard challenges that everyone in the industry must have faced is negotiating with landlords for the rentals. I would say these are the two major challenges. We were quickly back to our pre-COVID revenues, say by about September 2020. So that was not a sort of a task. But yes, I think managing employees and negotiation with the landlords is definitely one of the top 3 challenges, I would say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Rimjim.
Thank you, sir.
A question which most of us wanted to ask, most of us had in mind.
Right.
So I really thank Rimjim and Vidur sir for this. So we have a question in the chat box as well. We had asked a question. Do you have a research department who are involved in identifying market situation, opportunities, and make use of them? Right. Will you be able to collaborate with our college to give internship or placement opportunities for our students?
Absolutely. I think that is something that we can definitely work on. I think, ma'am, I probably connect with you offline on that. So as a department, if you ask me that do we have an organized department for that? No. R&D is something that we have not yet heavily invested on, because I think obviously we need to think out of the box, but at times the box is that big that you can probably do a lot within the box. But yes, having said that, we do keep in pace with the changing scenarios in the market, what's coming up new, what's happening. So I'm fortunate to have a great team with me, so they always keep their eyes and ears open. So we do keep in touch with what's new in the market coming in. But yes, if you're asking me, do we have an organized set division for it at this moment? No.
So definitely, sir, as you said, we'll connect offline regarding internship and placements for our students. Right. This younger generation, these young minds will definitely help you, assist you in all your research work.
Absolutely.
Now we have another question from Shruti. Yes, Shruti.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Shruti.
Sir, how did you grab the customers, sir, for a specialty?
Right. Interesting. So I think a few things. Of course, I think it's a link that kind of goes hand in hand. So of course, popping up, making sure that their outlets are visible is, I would say, the first stage of that. Second thing, like I mentioned while I was just talking about Chaiwale, is that we end up giving good discounts, offers during the beginning stages of the first 1 month of our operations, and we do a lot of marketing on that front. So that is something that grabs the customers for the first time. But I think yes, that all no matter how many discounts that you give in, no matter how many offers that you give in, they will probably grab the customers for the first time. They will only come back the second time when they actually enjoy the taste and quality. So I think that is something that we really proud ourselves upon in Chaiwale, that we've been able to successfully maintain our quality and taste across all our outlets. So I think it's a chain process. There is no one thing, or there's no one answer to that. That okay, do this and you'll get customers. It's not. It's as good as social marketing or digital marketing. You spend in your advertisement budgets. You'll never be able to correlate that what sort of an advertisement actually got the sales in for me. So I think it's a brand building exercise rather than an overnight customer acquisition exercise. I think once you build your brand and you keep the quality and consistency up, I think over time your customer base will build up.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So we have Ms. Bhumita. Yes, Bhumita, you can raise your question.
Good day, sir. Did you ever face the fear of failure, sir?
Right. I think no matter how confident someone is, you always have that. Realistically speaking, you'll always have that in the back of your mind, and I think that is something. I would imagine it should be there. That should be there, because I think at the end that just motivates you to make sure that you don't go down that route. You always need to have something that motivates you, and I think. If in this case, if we term it fear of failure, I think fear of failure is something that does motivate me to do better. So I think definitely, I think any entrepreneur, no matter how confident and how successful they are, I think they always have that in the back of their mind.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Reshma, yes, you can ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Reshma.
What were the difficulties you faced when you started this business, and how did you overcome those difficulties?
Okay, I think the first and foremost, it's going to be a hilarious one, but I think naming my organization Chai Wale was something that everyone in my family revolted against. But yeah, I mean, jokes aside, I would say, of course, capital is one thing, and second thing is, when you're talking to any landlord, any vendor, I think getting in my first location, it took me about 4 to 5 months, because anyone that I would go and talk to, they'd ask me for a website, they'd ask me for where exactly am I located elsewhere. So that is something was a challenge to actually find out a good location. And post that, operationally, I think it's quite difficult to actually get in and zero down on your menus as well, because again, like I said, I particularly don't come from an F&B background, so I had to do a lot of research, looking at the menus of existing similar category players, understanding from them, understanding from vendors. You had to do a lot of research, a lot of YouTube going on at that point of time. So I think overall, operationally, and at that point of time, it was just a one-man show. I didn't have a purchase team. I didn't have an accounts team. I didn't have a supply chain. It was just me doing everything. So I think, as a challenge is, I'm a single co-founder in this company. I'm a single founder in this company, sorry. So I think it's good, probably if you could probably get in a founder who you share a same vision with. I think that does reduce the burden on you. Thankfully, with God's grace, I was able to steer through that. But I think, getting in a core team right from the beginning, be it either, people working under you or being a core team, you're working with maybe a partner, I think that would be of a good advantage for someone starting up.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we have Ms. Mahati R.
Hi, Mahati.
Good day, sir.
Hi, good day.
Do you have an idea of starting a business in US?
Do I have an idea of starting up a business in US? Is that the question?
Yes, sir.
Right. Sorry. Right. Definitely. I mean, we've actually got a lot of opportunities. Asking for franchises for Chai Wale. If you're talking in terms of Chai Wale perspective, and if it is something else, I think we can definitely connect offline and talk about it. Even though yes, Chai Wale takes up a good bandwidth of mine, and I prefer being concentrated on Chai Wale at this moment because it's still my baby, and there's a long way to go. But yeah, definitely I'd love to discuss the opportunity with you offline, I guess.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks.
That's really great. So we'll have more participants bouncing on you for opening in US.
Definitely.
Sir, our organizing team, that is Center of Excellence Retail, one of our organizing member has a question for you.
Absolutely.
So hi, good evening, Venkat here, sir.
Hello, Venkat sir.
Sir, I just have one question. Like, I want to know how big is your category in India or per se in South India, and
Right.
how many players do you expect more? Because there are already 4 to 5 big names, and apart
Right.
from that, 3 to 4 is in pipeline. So, how do you? Can you explain me on that?
Absolutely, sir. So what I'm going to do over here is, sir, to answer your question, I'm not going to limit the answer with a statistic over here, because I think to sort of state how big is the chai market, I would say that chai is the second most consumed beverage in India and in the world. So I think that should sort of give everyone an idea of how big the market is. And talking about how many players, or what is a sort of a saturation level, if I can probably use the term, we are looking at is, I think at this moment, I would say, the organized chai market is still very untapped. Yes, we do have a few players, few big names in the market who are probably bigger than Chai Wale at this moment. Yes. But I think there is definitely a great scope, because it all comes down to, the sort of value proposition that you actually end up providing to the customer. It's not just chai, because let's be honest, making chai is not rocket science. Once you get the right ingredients, making a good cup of tea is not rocket science. I think it's the complete experience. It's the complete overall experience that you provide to the customer when they actually walk into let's assume a Chai Wale outlet. It's the overall experience that they get in that sort of derives your business. So I think regardless of, I would easily say, even if we get in, like you said, there are 4 or 5 good big brand names in the picture already, 3, 4 in the pipeline. I think we are poised to have, a good healthy competition, at least between 10 to 12 brands. Yes, and post that, I also foresee that there is a scope of a good strategic alliance that could happen, within these brands also. I think, there is a good proposition for that, because I think the idea should be to make chai relevant in the market. And I think we are all doing that. So I think India as a market overall could handle at least 10 to 12 brands. And post that, I think, it's a long while till that happens. And post that is when we'll probably get down to talking about saturation of the market. Thank you, sir.
Hi, sir. This is Radhika.
Hi, Radhika.
1 minute. So my question is like something like what Shruti asked. Okay. So when I come out of my house, I have a chai wala everywhere. Am I right? So it's like I'm going to get it for 10 rupees or something. And now you're costing it for 15 or 12, whatever may be the cost. But what is the unique selling point of your particular chai wala apart from taste? What made you to open up this particular concept? What is your unique selling point? That is the main point that I wanted to ask.
Right. So, like I said, Radhika, you're absolutely right. You end up having a chai at 10 rupees, 8 rupees, 12 rupees as well. And we are out there selling it at 20. So I think it's the overall package that we as a brand are looking to provide to the customer. It's not just chai, it's the complete experience that you come in. You can be rest assured that your chai is being prepared hygienically. You're going to be consuming it in a hygienic, environment, and it's the sort of ambience also. So we generally, even when we do up our outlets, we generally spend up about 5 to 7% additional on our interiors, because the idea is not to make sure that a customer comes in. At the end, you also have to make sure that the customer is retained at your outlets. You need to provide them some sort of a decent ambience. Again, having said that, I understand that yes, I cannot spend a higher capex on my outlets because I would not be able to. It would not make business sense for me. But like I said, what we want to do is we want to provide the best experience a 20 rupee chai can provide you. So I think we do revolve around tea and about the taste and quality, because I think without that, opening up the business would not make sense. But I think it's the hygiene factor that comes into the picture as well for someone like us, and the overall value proposition in terms of the value for money. What am I getting at 20 rupees? Say at 10 rupees, you're getting to drink a chai, standing outside at a tea store. At 20 rupees, you're able to, walk into a chai wale outlet with a great, soothing ambience, spending about 15 minutes there, have a table and chair to sit down and, have a cup of tea in air conditioning. So I think that additional 10 rupees brings you a lot of value proposition over there.
Thank you, sir. That was good. That was great, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. One last question from me.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea of extending your product line?
Absolutely. I think a lot of new products are under works at this moment as we speak. Some have already been launched as a pilot project at few of our outlets. As a brand, we haven't really advertised it. We are just trying to gauge the market from single outlets. And I think in the next month or a couple of months, you'll actually see a good range of products being introduced in Chai Wale, apart from chai.
Okay, great, sir. So definitely we'll also enjoy that experience, the ambience, as you said.
Absolutely, please.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for spending your valuable time with us, for accepting our invite and being with us in fact, the time is exceeded, but without any hesitation, you were very patient enough to answer all the questions for all the participants, for all the silliest question of all. Thank you very much for that time and your patience.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot for having me over. Like I said, it's my honor because I still see myself still learning, a long way to go. And it's my pleasure to be here.
And we have our the president of Tamil Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Choranachar, sir. Sir, நீங்க ஏதாவது உங்க ஐடியா ஷேர் பண்ணணும்னு விரும்புறீங்களா or questions கேட்கணும்னு விரும்புறீங்களா sir?
Vidur sir.
Hello sir.
You are in Chennai only now or part of Tamil Nadu?
I'm in Chennai, sir.
No, that your retail store.
Our outlets at this moment are all based in Chennai, sir.
Chennai.
Yes, sir.
Now you are having planned to go for Tier 2, Tier 3 cities or to South India, other states next to plan.
Absolutely, sir. We are definitely looking at Tier 2 cities as well. And having said that, we are also looking at the other Tier 1 cities in other states. But the idea is, sir, at this moment, we are still a company operated business model. We are not franchising at this moment. So we would ideally want to move into a different city. If it is a Tier 1 city of a different state, we would want to move when we are confident that yes, we want to open up about 8 to 10 outlets in a span of 1 year. Because what happens is if I have 20 outlets in Chennai and if I want to open my 21st outlet in Hyderabad or a Bangalore, I need to have a completely dedicated marketing team targeting towards the Bangalore or a Hyderabad market. I need to have my operations team over there. I need to have my audit team. I need to have a small satellite office to make sure that I have enough stocking over there. So the overheads will not be justified just for 1 or 2 outlets. So I think we need to plan it well and make sure that whenever we plan to move cross borders, we would want to ideally, capture a good market that would actually justify the overhead costs. And of course, the second option is franchising. As and when we look at franchising, I think that would make things more easier for us operationally. So that is also something that we are sort of contemplating.
Regarding this franchise, one question. And the franchise is making our business extension and more profit or enlargement of our business. That is the one side view. The other side, the customers, they are not getting the full benefit from the franchise and compared to the actual one in all retail outlets or industry. And so what do you think about that?
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. I completely am with you on that. And that is, one of the core reasons why We aren't looking at the FOFO model of franchising where we let out the franchisee to operate the business. So the reason is, sir, if you look at it from the one of franchisee viewpoint, they are also highly concentrated on their individual P&L as well. No matter how loyal they are to the brand, they would ideally want to make sure that their profitability remains high as well. So in an outlet where you would ideally want to place in 4 or 5 employees, and a franchisee would probably do in with probably 4 employees, a salary of 1 employee is being saved out for them. So I think those are small things where the franchisees might look at cutting costs, which might actually end up having a turbulent experience for the customer. So that is something individually, or as a brand, we are looking to iron out. We are looking to strengthen our agreements, our processes, our audit teams, so that when we look into franchising out full-fledged, we wouldn't want the customer to face any such issues in Chaiwale, at least.
And Nayanadhara has invested in your firm, sir?
Absolutely, sir.
Oh, so you are having colorful investor with you.
So God's great, sir. I think it's all with God's grace that we've been able to scale up Chaiwale to this level.
On behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, 80 years old organization, started by the first Finance Minister of India, Nehru government, Dr. R.K. Shanmugam.
Right, sir.
We completed nearly about 8 years. I wish you all in future in all your endeavors and business success. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Choranachya sir. And our best wishes on behalf of our management and our institution, our best wishes for expanding your business, as you said, and to flourish in all your endeavors, sir.
Thanks a lot.
I'd like to formally thank our secretary, our associate secretary, our principal ma'am, and the management, our staff, teaching and non-teaching staff, for helping us through in organizing this session. I thank our technical team for helping in the technical terms of this session. Our organizing team, Ms. Radhika and Ms. Divya, thanks to you for taking this in a very smooth way. And dear participants, thank you very much for being with us throughout the session and for your valuable questions, keeping it more interactive and lively. Thank you, Choranachya sir, once again for being with us in the session, Banandri sir. And thank you, Vidar sir. We would definitely connect with you and get associated with you, sir. As you said,
welcome, always welcome.
Placements.
Thanks a lot, ma'am, and thanks everyone for the opportunity once again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Bye.
Bye, sir.